Why are aquatic ecosystems important in forestry? Sampling an aquatic ecosystem prior to any forestry operations may help the planning process of that management.
Each Skinner is worth about $350,000.
If a cold water stream shows high populations of an important fish species, adjustments may be made to the forest map to increase the buffer zone around this water ecosystem to prevent any adverse effects. It may also require special stream crossings to ensure that impacts to the stream are minimized. Comparing water samples before and after forestry operations indicates the impact of the operations on that water body. If there is an increase in sediment or a change in pH, for example, then monitoring and remediation may be required. All living things depend on soil. Trees and plants get water and nutrients from the soil and turn them into usable energy. Some organisms even live in the soil. The interrelated web of plant and animal communities cannot exist without soil. The only way to really learn about soils is to get down into the dirt. Digging a soil pit or using an auger lets us get a better look at what's underneath the ground. As you go further down the soil profile, you may notice a change in color, texture, and structure. There are generally three types of particles found within soil: silt, clay, and sand. And the different combinations of these particles make different types of soils. Soil color can be indicative of the minerals present or absent in the soil. Color can also tell you if there's been movement or leaching of minerals and nutrients within the soil, and can be used to identify distinct layers of soil from top to bottom, known as the soil horizon. Understanding soils is important for regenerating a forest. Planting a species in the wrong soil type will likely not be good for the survival of that tree. Surveys several years after harvesting also help indicate the success of regeneration. Comparing species composition, health, and diversity prior and post-harvest help indicate whether the forest is regenerating in a healthy way.
Doing some orienteering activities.
There is a relationship between wildlife species and forest types. Deer in particular love to eat regenerating plants. The buds on these plants are short enough to reach, tender, and full of flavor. If you haven't seen a deer, perhaps you may have seen some signs of deer, like chewed up branches. Wildlife is an important part of a healthy forest. A forest management plan needs to consider the types of wildlife that are in that forest, and also needs to consider the requirements of wildlife in the forest that will regrow after harvest. Some wildlife species depend on older features in the forest, such as dead trees or snags. Snags provide important habitat and food sources for many species. This feature is included in management plans, and often harvesting requires a certain number of cavity trees left on the landscape. As you can see, forest management is not all about the trees. Lots of different ecosystem elements are included within forest management plans. Sustainable forest management requires that you consider all elements of sustainability, with ecosystem health being one of the priorities.